Get Lucky by Daft Punk at this point is such a classic, and I feel like a big part of that classic is the guitar that Nile Rodgers play. So today, my friend, we're gonna be making the Daft Punk tone in Amplitude 5. I'm Jorge Lancesing now. We break it down, baby. This guitar tone is the epitome of keeping it simple. Nile Rodgers has built a whole career proving us that the tone is in the fingers. And even though I play nothing like Nile Rodgers, I know that you got it all figured out, except the tone in Amplitude 5. So let's stop the talking and let's get to the rocking. Let's get a guitar so we can make some noise. Today we're gonna be using my Fender American Professional 2. Because I feel like it's like the closest that I have to whatever Nile Rodgers might be using. But honestly, any single coil guitar that you have is gonna get you close enough to the tone if what you're looking for is trying to have fun. And of course, needless to say, this is just an approximation to the tone, and to make it like super perfect, you will have to go be in the room with Mick Guzowski, Daft Punk, and Nile Rodgers in that same day, making that tone. But I know we're gonna get close enough that you can actually have fun. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so here we are in Amplitude 5, and this is just like the default mode. Which is just like a Marshall tone. So I'm gonna take this moment to tell you, pay attention to what's happening right here in the input section when I play the riff. You should be ideally looking at something like that if you want to recreate this tone. So go make any adjustments that you need to do in your interface or in your preamps, and let's get to it. Right, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this amp, because I know that he was using like a Fender-esque kind of amp. And I saw in the rig rundown that it was like a Fender DeVille that he's using right now live. But I feel like maybe he was using like a 59 Bassman. I feel like it's like the closest to like that DeVille. And in all honesty, I feel like that's what they would have been using in the studio or something close to that, because nobody uses a DeVille in the studio. Don't get me wrong, the amp is amazing, and especially if you want it live and you want a clean tone, chef's kiss. The drive kind of sucks though. But in the studio, I feel like it has like a very small sweet spot, and it ends up being not super useful. So let's just use this 59, which is what I have in Amplitude anyway. And I just try to copy a few of the settings that I could see in that rig rundown. Okay, so the first settings that I could see is that he had the presence all the way cranked up. All the way up. And then the middle, he had it, I don't know, maybe like around 4.5. The sec, yeah, 4.5. Then the bass, he was like around 4. Treble, around 8.5-ish. And then the volume, he was like around 7 or 8. And I'm going to use 7 just out of habit, because that's what I use every time I use a Strat in a Fender amp in Amplitude 5. And that's one of the big benefits of having fixed gain staging. You always know what you're getting. All right, let's go. I feel like, of course, now that's already in the ballpark because it's like a, sort of like the right amp, right? But of course, it's still not there, right? So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here and I'm going to turn this room off and the secondary mic, because I feel like the room microphone is going to give us a little bit of depth. And of course, that means that the guitar is not going to be right here in our face, right? And in this kind of music, with this kind of driving guitar, that's kind of like what you want. You want to have like a big tail of a reverb or like a big room just lingering around. And I went through a bunch of this just to see if like it make any difference at all. And I was surprised to find out that, yeah, it does make a small difference, of course. But just the room in the microphone that we're using, in this case the 57, makes a big difference.
To my ears.
It might not make any difference to yours. And whatever, that's okay. But if it does, let me know in the comment section. Okay, so most of the times I know that they're using that 57, so we're just going to keep it there. And the positioning looks pretty okay. It's usually in the right spot. So let's hear this now. Much closer, but I feel like way too polite. So I'm going to go get a trusty overdrive. And right now at this point, I'm really liking this Pinnacle Overdrive Deluxe. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the boost. And I'm going to get these settings. Tone on 5. Volume on around 8. Contour at around 7. And then gain at around 5. And in this case, I'm using 5 on the gain because I kind of like don't want any overdrive. I just want to feel the sound of the pedal and a little bit of that lift, a little bit of that fatness and warmth that I feel we're getting right before the amp. Let's hear it. Way closer. And now my next instinct would be like had like some sort of compression or something to add a little bit to that sponginess that we have, right? And it's very easy to lose that when you add a little bit of compression. So in this case, I'm going to go to the post-processing section and add that little bit of warmth and fatness that I want, right? So right here in the top right corner, we're going to go to our rack effects. We're going to start by adding this vintage EQ. And in the lows, I'm going to choose 60 Hertz. And you'll be like, 60 Hertz sounds a little low for a guitar, right? And yes, it is a little low. But in the case of this EQ, it just sounds sweet. So let's use it. And I'm boosting quite a bit. Let's go. And then I am attenuating at 5K, maybe like around here. So not too much, really. Wow, now we're starting to get there. See, as soon as you chose the right topology and you start processing it the right way, you start getting closer and closer. But then, my friend, I want to make sure that we understand that the importance of every single one of these videos that I do when I'm trying to make a tone is that it's little changes in different places that's going to get you the closest to what you want in sort of like the most pristine way. And this is something we all work on, the restraint to just do exactly what you need in the right places. And you'll get that with experience. So just keep practicing and let me know in the comment section down below what kind of tone we should be doing next. And while you're there, remember to like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube. And enjoy this little bossa nova. I hope your day keeps getting better and better, my friend. All right, let's keep going. All right, so now that we have our EQ right, I like to add this little saturation thing, especially in this kind of tone, because I feel like we're not hitting enough level. I feel like our volume is a little bit lower than I wanted it to be. And you would say, how would I know that? Let me show you. Usually, when I'm done with a tone, I kind of want it to be around where the ball is. So I feel like we're a little bit low, right? So in this case, I'm going to be using the Class A topology, and I'm going to add like 2.2 dBs, whatever, 2.3, and then minus 0.7. And now let's hear this. Let's hear the difference with this kind of processing and without it. So without it. Right, after that, my friend, why don't we just go get a few conclusions? Let's go. Right, so there you have it, a clean tone full of life that has a lot of dynamic range. And my friend, I want to put a big emphasis on dynamic range. As you could tell in those examples, there's sort of like a big difference when I actually hit the chord and the little like Reiki sounds, right? The difference is like pretty big. And I felt like that was the key part of this kind of tone. If you feel like the tones are too close to each other, the little Reiki sound and the sound of the chord, you're already not making it. And then of course, since this is a clean tone and I'm trying to get as much juice as I can from it, all the little nuances of your playing are gonna be heard and felt, my friend. So in the case of a masterful guitar player like NILE ROGGERS, a tone like this is like a playground where he can actually just play whatever he wants and like be as expressive as he needs to. And if you pay attention to that song, let's say right now I was just like basically playing the outline of the chords, but what he's actually playing is like a jam all throughout the song. Like he's always playing like different kind of riffs. He never really plays the chord progression. He's always like vibing to it. And then there's this other little guitar in the background most of the time. So yeah, I feel like it's like a very, very dynamic tone because he's not making something that needs to be perfect. He's making something that is like very jammy. So I feel like the key ingredient in this kind of song is you, my friend, in your guitar playing. Because for example, as you can tell, he never plays the same thing, yet you remember exactly what the guitar is doing. But when you go with the magnifying glass, you notice that he never played the thing that you had in your head or the same thing twice. He's always like just vibing because that tone allows him to do whatever he wants. And he's worked on that tone for decades. When you hear that tone, you know it's NILE ROGGERS. And I know that when you heard it with me, it's not NILE ROGGERS at all. But that's besides the point, my friend, right? Because here, I'm not trying to show off my guitar playing. I know that I'm not the best guitar player, but I know that you might be. I spent a lot of years in the studio, not playing guitar, but playing with microphones and consoles and EQs and compressors. And I'm trying to share that knowledge and experience with you so you can make better decisions when making your tones. Decisions that are gonna enhance your guitar playing by making you sound the way you want to and giving you that confidence. And if you have a little bit of problems with your input section and your gain and how to set up your interface of how hard you have to hit it, like for example in the beginning when I was telling you about the input section and how hard I want to get in the output, I recommend you, my friend, to go see this video right here where I go in a little bit of detail and tell you everything you need to know to get started in this kind of tone making endeavors. All right, my friend, I'll see you right there. Thank you for being here once again.